They built a dark empire, a digital fortress hidden from the world, where anything could be bought and anything could be sold. They operated with impunity, a ghost in the machine that fueled crime across an entire continent. And when it came time to collect their spoils, they didn't use banks or shell companies. They washed billions in Bitcoin, pioneering a new frontier of digital crime. This is the story of Hydra, the Russian-language darknet market that became a global menace, and the international game of cat and mouse to bring it down. For nearly 7 years, it was the Amazon of the underworld. An online bazaar that didn't just exist on the dark web, it dominated it. Welcome to Hydra Market. From its inception in 2015, Hydra was more than just a marketplace. It was a sprawling, sophisticated criminal ecosystem. It was a one-stop shop for narcotics, stolen credit card data, counterfeit documents, and hacking services, catering almost exclusively to a Russian-speaking clientele. By the time it reached its peak, it was processing an estimated 80% of all darknet market transactions worldwide, boasting over 17 million customer accounts and 19,000 registered sellers. What set Hydra apart wasn't just its scale, but its terrifying efficiency, operated with the slick professionalism of a Silicon Valley tech giant. It had a user-friendly interface, a complex system of seller ratings and customer reviews, and even a dedicated team of moderators to resolve disputes. Sellers would pay a fee for a listing, take their orders, and then use Hydra's anonymous delivery system. They employed a network of couriers, known as cladmen or treasuremen, would hide illicit goods in discreet public locations, a process called a dead drop. The courier would upload a photo and GPS coordinates of the hiding spot, which were then sent to the buyer upon payment. No face-to-face interaction was ever required. It was a frictionless, anonymous pipeline for crime, a system so refined that it generated an estimated $1.3 billion in revenue in 2020 alone. Hydra wasn't just a market. It was an infrastructure. But the real genius of Hydra, the engine that powered its untouchable empire, was its mastery of money. How do you move billions of dollars in illicit profits without alerting every financial institution on the planet? Hydra's founders found the answer in the burgeoning world of cryptocurrency. Bitcoin was their currency of choice, decentralized, pseudonymous, and borderless. But they knew that simply moving Bitcoin from a buyer's wallet to a seller's wallet left a digital trail. The blockchain, Bitcoin's public ledger, records every transaction. With enough resources, investigators could trace the flow of funds from a criminal act back to a real-world identity. Hydra needed a way to break that chain. They needed to make dirty money clean. And so they built their own financial services division, a state-of-the-art money laundering apparatus integrated directly into the market's core. The primary tool in their arsenal was the Bitcoin mixer, or tumbler. Imagine taking 100 different $100 bills, all with unique serial numbers, throwing them into a wood chipper with thousands of other bills, and then reassembling new bills from the shredded pieces. That, in a digital sense, is what a mixer does. Hydra's platform forced users to deposit their Bitcoin into a centralized wallet. From there, the funds were churned through their proprietary mixing service, which pooled and scrambled transactions from thousands of users. This process deliberately obscured the original source of the funds, making it nearly impossible to connect the clean crypto that came out with the dirty crypto that went in. But they didn't stop there. The crypto world was evolving, and so did Hydra's methods. The volatility of Bitcoin was a risk. To secure their profits, they began converting the laundered funds into stablecoins, a type of cryptocurrency pegged to a stable asset like the US dollar. This protected their vast fortune from market fluctuations. They then funneled these stablecoins through a dizzying maze of shell companies and complicit exchanges, often based in jurisdictions with lax regulations. This multi-layered process, from Bitcoin to mixer to stablecoin to cash, was a masterclass in modern money laundering. It allowed the operators and top vendors of Hydra to not only profit from their criminal enterprise, but to integrate those profits into the legitimate global financial system. They weren't just drug lords. They were becoming crypto financiers. For years, law enforcement agencies around the world watched in frustration. Hydra was a digital hydra in every sense of the name. Cut off one head and two more would grow in its place. The market's servers were hidden, its operators were anonymous, and its financial network was a cryptographic labyrinth. But the sheer scale of the operation had made it a top priority. In Germany, the Federal Criminal Police Office, BKA, alongside the Central Office for Combating Cybercrime ZIT, began a painstaking investigation. In the United States, agencies like the FBI, DI, and the Treasury Department, SIR's Criminal Investigation Unit, dedicated their own elite cyber teams to the problem. It was a silent global war being fought in the ones and zeros of the internet. The breakthrough came not from a single silver bullet, but from a relentless, coordinated assault on multiple fronts. Investigators began meticulously tracing blockchain transactions, using sophisticated analytic software to find faint patterns in the chaos of Hydra's mixers. They went undercover, posing as buyers and sellers on the platform to gather intelligence on its inner workings. They analyzed seized servers from other darknet markets, searching for any clue, any shared piece of code or administrator handle that might link back to Hydra. It was a slow, agonizing process of connecting digital dots scattered across the globe. Finally, in early 2022, the trap was ready to be sprung. In a covert operation, German authorities identified and gained access to the market's server infrastructure, which was physically located within Germany. The operators had made a critical mistake. They had believed their digital defenses were enough, but they had underestimated the power of old-fashioned, on-the-ground police work, combined with cutting-edge cyber forensics. On April 5, 2022, authorities made their move. In a series of coordinated raids, the BKA seized Hydra servers, effectively pulling the plug on the world's largest criminal marketplace. Visitors to the Hydra domain were no longer greeted with a menu of illegal goods, but with a seizure notice from German and U.S. law enforcement. Simultaneously, the U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned the platform, officially designating it as a malicious cybercrime organization and sanctioning Garantex, a Russian cryptocurrency exchange implicated in processing its funds. As part of the seizure, authorities confiscated approximately $25 million in Bitcoin. The takedown of Hydra was a landmark victory in the fight against cybercrime. It wasn't just about seizing servers or confiscating Bitcoin. It was about dismantling an entire criminal infrastructure that had fueled untold harm. The operation exposed the vulnerabilities of even the most sophisticated darknet enterprises and demonstrated the power of international law enforcement cooperation. But the story is far from over. The operators of Hydra, their identities still largely a mystery, remain at large, likely in possession of a vast, untraceable crypto fortune. The demand for the goods and services Hydra provided has not disappeared. In the shadows of the web, new markets are already vying to fill the void, learning from Hydra's successes and its ultimate failure. The Hydra has been decapitated, but its heads are already starting to grow back. The digital war between the architects of dark empires and the forces who hunt them continues. And the next battle has already begun.